Hello and welcome to another Arseblog Arsecast right here on arseblog.com. This one is a little bit different. It's probably the first Arsecast I'm going to do standing up.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn, New York City. That was some of the ambience of the city you heard at the start of the show there. I'm here with my travelling companion for the last, well, seems like a long time, and that's no reflection on you, Kurtis Powers. Hello to you.
Hello, Andrew.
Yeah, we've been together a while now. It does. I mean, when you drive from Charlotte, North Carolina to Washington, D.C., in the kind of weather that we drove up in, you share something. I think you create a bond that can't be broken in any way.
Especially when you all come eat.
Yeah, when you all come eat. We stopped in Fancy Gap, Virginia, which was simultaneously hilarious and also terrifyingly sinister.
And not at all fancy or gappish.
Well, I didn't see any gap, and I can tell you it was definitely not fancy. And then we were at the game, obviously, in Washington, D.C., or Landover, Maryland, I should say, because it was outside the city against Real Madrid. We might talk about that for a minute or two, but then we drove from Washington, D.C., to New York City, and kudos, we have to give a shout out to Tom Staunton, the man who many of you will know as the boss of O'Hanlon's fine emporium there on 14th Street. Tom did all the driving. Fair play to him. I wouldn't have fancied it. We were originally going to rent a car and drive up and share some of the driving. I'm glad
we did not, yeah.
I'm glad I didn't have to do any of that driving. So anyway, we're here. We're in Brooklyn. We're in Kurtis's studio, which is really quite awesome. I've got a lovely microphone. He's got a lovely microphone. We're standing up. We're going to shoot the breeze about Arsenal for a few minutes because I'm here in New York. A bit of post-tour downtime. Yeah.
It's post-tour lull.
Post-tour lull, pre-season lull. So, I've been away for coming up on 2 weeks now, so I feel like I could do with getting back home and all that entails. But anyway, I can't complain about a few days in New York City. But I'm curious, just your thoughts on the bits of the tour that you saw. You weren't out in LA, but you were at the game in Charlotte. You were at the game in DC. What were the standout things for you from those games?
From the games or just from the experiences?
Well, let's
overall?
do the games first, and then we can talk about the experience.
Well, I mean, obviously, no one. I don't think there's anyone on the planet right now that's not talking about Eddie.
Eddie.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed watching that kid. Both games, he's all over the place. He has that workmanship of like an Alexis, where he's tracking back, he's trying to defend, he's moving forward, he's putting himself in good positions. He really, really excited me and everyone else. Yeah,
for sure. I think he and Joe Willock were the two standout players on the tour for me. Eddie, he was playing like a guy who was trying to say to Unai Emery, I want to stay here. Not only do I want to stay here, I want to play.
Yeah.
I want to play. And it was curious in the press conference afterwards, he was asked about Nketiah's future and whether he'd go out on loan, and he seemed very wedded to the idea that he could take Dani Welbeck's place in the squad.
Well, I mean, in fair play to Welbeck, but you see a promise in him and a drive that we didn't necessarily see concurrently with Welbeck.
Yeah, he had the injuries. He had a difficult time. Interesting, he hasn't found a new club yet.
Yeah, I mean,
it'll happen.
You think that they'd be lining up. I mean, he's still a fantastic player for the right club.
Yeah, assuming the knees hold up, and hopefully they do. So those two guys I think really stood out. The other thing that stood out for me was how badly we need some defenders, because I'm not putting it all on one guy. I'm not going to just say the name that everyone thinks I'm going to say. I mean this in a very broad sense, that there is a quality issue with the lineup of defenders that we have. And I know we're really hopeful for Rob Holding, but I was talking to somebody, the idea that he might play a game in pre-season is incorrect. So it's going to be September, after the first international break, before we get Rob Holding back, assuming that everything goes well. And we have to bear in mind that you've got to ease him back into action a bit, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely. But I actually fear a bigger thing, and I'm not usually the first one to bring negativity into a conversation, but I still think that we're sitting with a systematic problem in the back. That, I mean, you think about the amount of defenders we've gone through in the last 7 or 8 seasons, And I feel like we go into every season saying, wow, there's a defense issue. And you think that we're kind of correcting it, and it seems like, okay, well, that seems nice. But then it's not corrected, and it's back to the same thing again. And
I mean, look, we have an issue at right back because Hector isn't going to be back until September as well, September, October. His recovery's going well, and that's great, but we're using either Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who I think, he tries his best, but I don't think it's his best position, or Carl Jenkinson, another guy who tries his best, but in reality, if we were to say it, he's probably, not the guy for the long term.
He looked absent against Real Madrid.
He had a tough time against Marcelo. There were a couple of battles. I did enjoy the bit where he won a tackle and then turned around and had a bit of a go. And look, he has his moments, but I think we've seen over the last number of years that he's not quite at the level that we need. Central defenders, we talk about holding. The Koscielny issue is still up in the air. In that, I read that they're going to make him train with the kids. That's what I read. I don't know how true it is because I'm a bit detached from it, but they're not going to welcome him back to the first team squad, which is, you can't have that. That's a terrible issue to have around the club, isn't it?
At that point, you might as well just sell him for what you can get him off for, because, there's no point in that.
Yeah, exactly. So then we have Mavropanos, who is injured again, still struggling with the hip injury, so he hasn't played a minute of pre-season football, a chance for him to, potentially show Unai Emery what he can do. He hasn't been able to do that. Callum Chambers, good honest lad, could be a squad player potentially. We have Socrates, who I quite like.
I do as well.
I quite like him, and I like his style. I like his aggression. I like his determination. But that will cost you, as we saw. As we saw in the Real Madrid game. Like, I thought both the yellow cards were a bit soft.
We agreed.
But, when you play that way and you get that kind of a referee, which you can do in the Premier League, he gets a lot of yellow cards. So he's going to miss some games through suspension. Yeah, exactly.
Gets stuck in.
But I really enjoyed his... I really enjoyed the way he booted the ball away. Like, he thought about it. He actually thought about it. It was like, how hard am I going to kick this ball?
And he was like, if there's a chance, he's like, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to get a yellow card just to show some dissent to this referee.
Yeah. It's like, give me another yellow card.
Please.
I'll have an extra yellow card for booting the ball away. And then we have Mustafi, who, again, without...
I heard you're a big fan.
Not true. I'm trying to be slightly serious about this, but I feel like if we go into a new season with Mustafi as one of our first choice defenders, that's not. We haven't addressed it, a key issue. That would be my fear.
He'd be one of those people that you worry about actually as even a guy on your bench. I mean, at times he's come on and he's done something, but he first team choice is when you look at all the other top clubs and the defense, thinking that that's our first choice of defense. You're just like...
look, there comes a point where you see a guy, he's played for us for 3 years...
And not improved.
And if anything, he's disimproved to the point where it's now... We should be selling him. We should be moving heaven and earth to sell him and to bring in somebody better. But I think the Koscielny thing has put a spoke in the wheel there. And
well, absolutely, yeah.
So that's a bit of a shame. So those are my sort of key worries about the new season. I know we started on positivity with some of the young players, and I think we got to talk a little bit maybe about Robbie Burton, who played in the Charlotte game, and he played in the came on against Real Madrid. Not somebody who was really on the radar, but he came in, he looked tidy, he looked like he could do a job. The issue, I think, is that we've got some depth now in midfield, because we have today,
as of today,
made a loan signing. Dani Caballos has come in on loan from Real Madrid. He's going to spend the season with us.
Numero ocho.
His name almost sounds like the Spanish word for onion. Cebolla.
Oh.
So, Danny Onions? I don't know.
I hear a song coming from that.
Yeah, there could well be a song. We lost Aaron Ramsey for free. Again, let's not go down that rabbit hole of terrible business that we do. But... we've replaced him with a guy who Unai Emery says can play as a number 8 or a number 10. So there's competition there for Mesut Ozil, or we've got somebody who can play in games away from home
Yeah.
in the north of England, where for some reason Mesut Ozil rarely tends to appear. I don't know if this, like, did you ever read The Silver Surfer?
Yeah.
Remember The Silver Surfer? Like he was like cast out and he couldn't return because there was an invisible barrier.
Yeah.
What if Mesut Ozil is like football's Silver Surfer? He cannot go north of, let's say, Oxford or something.
You know, it's hard on his skin. It's hard on his lungs, maybe. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that cold, harsh air.
Yeah.
But looks to me like a really decent signing.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about loans now in a second.
Yeah, because definitely wanted to say, like, I think we were kind of going into it a little bit. Like, when is the last time that we had a really successful loan spell?
That's a good question. We're going to address that now in 1 second. But for a club which is restricted in its transfer budget this year, it definitely is. We know we only have about 45 million. Maybe there might be a bit more if we sell somebody. That would add to our funds. But to use the loan market in what seems to be a pretty decent and clever way is a way of maintaining as much of that budget as possible, even if you're going to pay Real Madrid a fee and everything else. So, you know, I'm pleased for this signing. He's a young, talented player. He looks good on the ball. You know, he's somebody who can carry the ball in midfield, which is something we've been missing as well. I did read, there were various articles going around about certain things about his temperament and his character. He appears to be a spiky kind of a guy. I can't remember what exactly he had some issue with talking about Catalans and Basques and wanting to bomb them, which is not particularly good.
Ooh.
That's not good.
I did not read that.
No, and he said something about the size of Iker Casillas' willy as well. But, you know, maybe these are the youthful indiscretions that people get up to on Twitter. Not that I've ever threatened to bomb anyone myself. You know.
So what you're saying is that it's probably a bad idea when if we bring him and we wouldn't play Barcelona. I take that back.
We're playing Barcelona in a preseason friendly on August the 4th.
Oh, that's right.
So that could be
maybe it'll kick off.
Just what we need to get ready for the new season. In pure footballing terms, though,
no,
he seems to be a good signing.
Yeah.
You asked the question about loan signings and have we ever had a really good one? So
not ever, but when was the last? And
okay. Well, look, I'm going to go through the loan signings that we've made, that we've brought in. I want you to rate them out of 10 for me.
Oh boy!
Starting with the most recent one, which was Denis Suarez from Barcelona, who arrived in January and played like 2 minutes or whatever it was.
1 being bad and 10 being great, or
yes, exactly.
Well, he played 2 minutes. Let's give him a 2.
Wow, okay. I think he played about 40 minutes, but, you know, I'd still stick with a 2. I'd go with a solid 0 on that one. Before that, it was Kim Källström, who we brought in from Spartak Moscow.
Yeah.
Remember? We brought him in January. We discovered he had a broken back, and we still signed him. However, he did make a very solid contribution to that season in that he scored a penalty in the FA Cup semi-final against Wigan.
Against Wigan.
Yeah, he scored a semi-final, and he went on to write, he did this thing for Swedish radio. It's really amazing. He wrote like a kind of an essay for Swedish radio talking about how scoring that penalty was almost the greatest moment of his life because it was at Wembley, because he was playing for Arsenal, because of everything that had happened. You can find it if you just search for Kim Källström on Arsblog News, you'll find a transcript of that thing. It's a really excellent piece of writing, radio, broadcasting, whatever it was. So I think for that reason alone, I think he scores well for me, even though he was kind of useless most of the time.
So we give him about like a 4.5 or 5?
I'm going up to like a 7 for him.
Wow, all right.
I'm going to a 7.
It was an important goal.
It was an important penalty. Yeah. Someone else could have scored it, but, you know, he did it. He put the ball in the back of the net. Okay.
He played his part.
Next one. Emiliano Viviano, who we signed from Palermo in 2013-14 as backup to Wojciech Szczesny and Lukasz Fabianski. He never played a single minute.
Well, that goes because I was going to say I don't ever remember him playing.
No.
So there you go. So you can't give him a higher number than a 0 then.
Okay, I think you can.
Why?
I'll tell you why.
I like this.
Okay, so comedian and Arsenal fan Dara O'Brien
Okay.
was doing the charity do at the club's. They do like the annual foundation dinner.
Yeah.
So Dara is doing his bits and pieces, and there's an auction element to the evening. So you could like have a signed Arsenal shirt, or it could be like an Arsenal watch or something like that. And the thing that is up for auction is a goalkeeping masterclass with Wojciech Szczesny and a chance to play on the Emirates pitch. The first person to put their hand up and bid for it was Viviano.
Oh, he just wanted to play.
He just wanted to play a minute.
Bless him.
Yeah.
All right, so he gets a 1 then.
Yeah, he can get a 1
Yeah.
for that,
All right.
Okay, our next loan signing, a guy that you might know, our listeners might know. He was previously an Arsenal player, but we brought him back on loan.
Yes.
You know the man I'm talking about.
The rich man.
Thierry Henry.
Oh, that one. I forgot about that one.
Who were you thinking of?
I was thinking about, oh man, what is his name? The guy who's gone on to start the...
Flamini.
Flamini, yeah.
No, we brought him, we actually signed him again.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
He wasn't alone. You're
He
right.
wasn't alone.
All right.
Sadly. But so Thierry Henry in 2012 scored that goal.
Wearing-
that goal against Leeds.
Wearing a number 12. I have a funny story. I was sitting in a quiet office, very quiet office, in downtown New York, and it was incredibly quiet. I had my headphones in. That game was on. I was in a chair that had wheels, and when he scored that goal, I freaked out, fell out of the chair on the floor, and everyone in the office thought I was having a seizure. But I wasn't actually trying to like have that goal celebration. I just got excited and fell out of the chair.
Yeah, that's good.
So
I think a goal that can like make you fall over is a good goal.
yeah, especially out of a chair.
Out of a chair, yeah, that's
Standing is a little bit easier, but yeah, I mean, you got to give Thierry big
true.
numbers.
Yeah, and he did score another goal. I think he scored against Blackburn and Sunderland in the Premier League. So you got to, given the moment, given that goal against Leeds in the FA Cup and how much it meant to him, and the the celebration.
The celebration
and,
was big.
Yeah. So what was the line of the commentary? He may be cast in bronze, but he can still provide golden moments. Something like that. It's very, very swish. I think that's that's up there with an 8.
I agree.
But that was kind of a sentimental loan rather than a functional one.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
sentimental and an important goal. So there you go.
All right. Before that, 2011-2012 season, you might remember we got beaten 8-2 at Old Trafford.
And he was the answer.
And this man was part of the solution to that shambles. We went out and we bought Mikel Arteta per Mertesacker, Park Ji-young.
Yeah.
And who else did we bring in? There was somebody else. I can't remember who it was.
I can't either, yeah.
But Yossi Benayoun came on loan from Chelsea.
Indeed.
Yeah, I thought he was quite good.
And I actually feel like he kind of grew to... We almost loved him a bit. Like, it seemed like most fans really got behind Yossi, and when the spell was over,
Yeah, because he'd come from Chelsea, there's naturally that thing where you go, well, he's a Chelsea cunt.
Yeah.
So how am I going to like him?
Well, but he was a Liverpool cunt before that.
He was a Liverpool cunt, so we were good people to overlook that much cuntery in his previous existence. But he did have a good loan spell, and I think he did, get people on side. He worked hard. He scored a few goals. I think he scored in the final game. Maybe it was the final game of the season where we played West Brom. And I think we had to win to secure top 4.
That was, and we did it.
And we did it. There were 2 things that I remember very vividly from that game. One was Kieran Gibbs making an amazing block really late in the game. I think the goal would have drawn them level,
right,
and would have made sure we didn't finish in the top 4. So it was one of those where we got there by the skin of our teeth. But it was also that game where Arsene Wenger and Pat Rice, there's that picture, because it's so tense.
Yeah.
It's so on the edge. You could cut the tension with a butter knife. And Wenger is just sort of clinging to Pat Rice and sort of like, oh my God, Jesus, that sort of terror.
That was before we had slipped into those drudges where we are now.
Yes, before the good old days when we were just scrapping for the top 4 instead of outside.
Instead of scrapping to get into the top 4.
Yeah. So what would you give Yossi?
I'd have to give Yossi, I'd give him like about a 5.5, 6.
Yeah?
Yeah, because
You're a tough marker, I have to say.
Yeah, because he's just one of those ones that I remember one feeling like, because he had been not good at Chelsea, but he was actually quite good when he was at Liverpool for a while.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, why are we getting this guy? And there was a period that it seemed like, and I feel like even when he left, he was so thankful to the fans for, like, I seem to remember something he said, like he was thankful to the fans for welcoming him. Like people even said, like we sang Yossi Benayoun songs at times. Like it was, you know, I think he actually really enjoyed his spell, and I think that he didn't come as like a loan spell where he could kind of just coast out and retire.
Yeah.
He came and he tried to work.
Yeah, that's true.
And he was decent at it. So
that's why I give him a 7.
Oh, okay.
For me, maybe I'm feeling a bit more generous than you are. You know, or you're obviously a hard taskmaster in general. Yeah, perfection. Okay, here's the one that came before that. Julio Baptista from Real Madrid. We'd been linked with him, with the Beast,
for quite a while.
Yeah. And then we did a loan swap. Jose Antonio Reyes.
That's right.
Went to Real Madrid, poor old Jose. And Baptista came in. I mean, best known for scoring 4 goals at Anfield in the League Cup. And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Didn't really work out.
But 4 goals, he kind of he mildly gets that for a lot of people. Mildly gets that legendary status for. It felt. I mean, well, maybe not legendary status. I take that back. But it you know.
You're fluctuating here between a hard bastard and like, I give you everything.
Do you know what? I'm a sentimental bastard. That's what I am.
Okay, you see, that's it. You're trying to keep that under wraps and present this hard exterior.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he only scored 2 or 3 goals in the Premier League. And, you know, the 4 goals at Anfield were, you know, great. Arshavin did that as well.
Arshavin did that.
Yeah.
And not to forget that beauty that he scored at Barcelona, against Barcelona.
Yeah,
not at Barcelona.
Mark, I will give Baptista 3.
3, yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Okay, we're singing from the same hymn sheet here. Couple of really weird ones where it's very hard to rate them. Mart Poom.
Don't even remember that one.
Yeah, he was the former Sunderland goalkeeper, signed as cover and never played a game. And before that, we had Fabian Caballero in 1998-99.
Did he play?
He played 3 times. And is best known for an FA Cup game against Preston at Deepdale. And the reason why he's known is not because he played very well, not because he scored, but I think it was a corner to Arsenal. And as the ball came in, he fucking flattened a guy with an elbow. And as that guy's like falling to the ground in pain with a fractured eye socket or whatever it was, Emmanuel Petit snuck in to score a goal.
And there you have it.
Yeah. So I don't know. It depends how highly we rate acts of cowardly violence on the pitch.
So you're going to give him a half?
Yeah, I think maybe a half.
I do need to date myself at this point, though, is that 97-98 was when in America I was seeing a lot more of the Arsenal. So
yeah, that was sort of the beginning of it.
So this was, for me, we might be dating me and I might not know anything about
that's
especially
fine.
when it comes to loans.
That's fine.
Well, let's see.
He wasn't a particularly successful loan signing. I'd give him a rating of 2, maybe 2 or 1. And the last one that I can think of before that is Jim Leighton in 1990-91, a goalkeeper who played for Manchester United. He never played a game for Arsenal. We just signed him on loan. It's a very strange deal. Maybe something to do with George Graham and Alex Ferguson. I think Jim Leighton famously fell out with Ferguson.
Interesting.
Yeah, he fell out with him. And maybe that was part of it, just George Graham doing him a favour, but he never played a game for us, so we can't give him any rating. So I think what we're saying here, when we talk about Dani Ceballos, is that we're looking for him to be probably
better than that,
our most successful loan signing of all time. That's what we're looking for.
But no pressure.
No pressure on him. I mean, I know he's not listening to this, but, you know, in the pantheon of loan signings that we've made... You know,
you got to make it count now.
Yeah, but I think when you also look at them, it might not be that difficult for him to be our best loan signing.
It's not difficult.
It's kind of a low bar.
But at the interesting part, at least the last 10 years that I can remember, when we bring on some of those loan signings, with the exception of, like you said, Yossi, when after the 8-2, that was a scramble in the last 24 hours before the season started. Or, I mean, before the window closed.
Yeah,
we're really like this is a crucial. This is a crucial loan signing.
Yeah.
So it really needs to be all or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, look, it depends as well what this guy wants. Does he want to make it at Real Madrid?
Right.
And if he wants to make it at Real Madrid, having a really good season at Arsenal and in the Premier League would help him do that. Interestingly, in the press conference the other night, this is apropos of nothing, but Zinedine Zidane is the quietest talker I've ever seen or heard in my life.
Do you think that played into the fact that, I don't know if you ever saw the silent film about the World Cup final?
No, I didn't.
It's silent. There's no sound. I mean, there's no dialogue, no nothing.
No music.
No music. It's just and
Is it any good?
Nah.
Missing one key ingredient.
But I'm wondering, to your point, if that had anything to do with it.
Yeah, it was so strange because he was sitting there in the microphone. And he talks like this. He just talks really very quietly and into the microphone. And yeah, sure, whatever's going on, but that's it. And so anyway, that's for us people who are loud talkers.
Yeah,
who are loud talkers.
I've been guilty of that once or twice in my life.
Yes. So there we are. So we've got a midfielder. We potentially have a player in Eddie who can replace Danny Welbeck as like our third striker, because we can't play Aubameyang and Lacazette in every game.
Yeah.
We've got to give them some rest, recuperation, keep them fit for the Premier League, which is our best way back into the Champions League. I think it's clear we're looking for a wide player, a dribbler. We're linked with Zaha, we're linked with Everton Suarez. So it feels like they're going to address that issue. Like they've definitely got their targets there. So the key now is back to the defence.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Are they going to bring Kieran Tierney in? It's
from what it looks like. It looks like it's there. It looks like it's cooking. But we've been known to bollocks a deal like that is pretty much signed.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about a number of those really great ones that seem like they were in our pocket. I mean, one's just gone to Real Madrid, I believe, a few seasons back when it looked like we were that close to signing Eden Hazard. Oh
yeah. Well, again, yeah. That was a weird one. I read this the interviews that were out recently with Dick Law, and they said that the decisions that they made when it came to transfers were what they thought were the best,
right,
in the best interests of the club financially, So instead of pushing the boat out and spending some money on Eden Hazard, they bought Gervinho. And there's part of me that thinks, yeah, look, I get it. There must have been financial restrictions.
Yeah.
And when Chelsea were interested, it becomes more difficult to do it because you're competing against a club for whom that's not an issue. But surely you could look at Hazard and say, right, okay, he is somebody who's going to cost us, whatever it was, 29, 30 million pounds back then. But potentially a player who could be worth at least twice that in 3 or 4 years' time if you wanted to sell him.
Yeah.
Whereas Gervinho, like,
you knew he was only going to depreciate.
The ceiling was not that high for him. So, a strange one, but yeah.
But I think it's, looking at his style, I think he's an essential signing, and I think that I'm hoping that they've identified that, not just being
Tierney, this is.
Yeah. I think he's absolutely essential, and I think that I was reading that interview with Neil Lennon that says, listen, he's our player, and we actually really like the guy. Yeah. He does great in our squad, and this is what we value at him. We don't need to sell him, though they.
Yeah, look, they're in a position of relative strength.
Absolutely.
So they have a player under contract. They don't necessarily want to sell him, but if the money's right, like anyone, they'll do a deal.
Yeah.
Arsenal may be trying to do things in a very Arsenal way. I don't know, but look, it looks like that might potentially get over the line. That would give us sort of a left back equivalent of Hector. Yeah. And Hector's back, so you got two young, exciting fullbacks who can get up the pitch, but who can also defend.
Yeah.
And I think we have an issue at left back at the moment because Monreal is getting a bit older.
Yeah.
And Kolasinac defensively just doesn't convince me.
Yeah, he's one that I feel like he inserts himself, but he again, just the lack of consistency on his side. But I do like having him, and I realize that maybe I'm talking that what do you call that? That emotional talk again.
Yeah.
I like having him there.
Well, because he's big.
Yeah, he's a big fella, and like, you know, he fights for it. He just doesn't quite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could use his body a bit better, I think, at times. But
I think you're right.
Yeah, but I wonder if we bring in Tierney. It seems to me like one of Kolasinac or Monreal is going to go, and it'll be interesting to see who that is. And I think the signing of Tierney is to ensure that we can play with a back four more often.
An actual
back four. But another key part of an actual back four is a central defensive pairing, which is good enough to play 80 to 90% of your games in the Premier League. And I think lack of consistency of selection in defence last year was a problem for Emery. It wasn't all his fault. Koscielny had been injured at the start of the season. Holding got injured. Bellerin got injured. Socrates had some periods out injured. Every time it looked like Mustafi was out of the team, somebody else would drop off, and like it just opened up the way for him. Like, you know, imagine if you were walking down a road and for whatever reason boulders were falling from the sky and they were splatting people all over the fucking place. The way to get through that, you know, is just walk directly behind Mustafi, just as close as he can to him, because he'd just get away with it.
He's the safety.
He is the safety.
Oh boy.
Well,
I mean, you would hope and you would think that surely come January, maybe we've got something lined up enough that Mustafi maybe.
Come January, I'm gonna come next week.
I know, but we know that that's not going to happen next week.
Oh my God! Please let it happen.
So,
please.
what is the pairing that you think is that of all the names that we've just said, the pairing that could?
I think from what we've got, Socrates and Holding would probably be my first choice, which isn't to say that I would necessarily consider that quite good enough. I think it's the best of what we've got, but I do think it's important to get out there and find a central defender. Of course, we're going to bring in William Saliba, but loan him back to Saint-Étienne for a year. So great that we're addressing some of the longer-term defensive issues. That's fantastic, but we have a season to play, and we can't go into the season and expect our defense to be any better with exactly the
same thing,
same personnel. So let's keep fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, we're going to take a little bit of a break here because I need to just take a break because we're in this room and it's scorching. It's very hot here in Brooklyn. So we're going to take a little water break like they did in the game in Charlotte.
A lot of them.
Minutes. Yeah, a lot of those water breaks. They needed them. So we're going to do that and we'll be back in a sec.
The countdown's on, with only 1 year to go until Tokyo 2020.
And Ataldi, as proud official supermarket partner of Team GB, will be with them every step of the way. So, from everyone at Aldi,
colleagues,
suppliers,
producers,
and customers,
good luck in Tokyo, Team GB. We're right behind you.
Welcome back. We've just been on a rooftop in Brooklyn looking at New York City, Statue of Liberty, World Trade Center, Empire State Building. Hell of a view.
It's decent.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's really quite a nice view. And if you're hearing any sort of background noise, it's air conditioners, which are really, really important.
And the sounds of New York City.
The sounds of New York City. The honking, the car horn, which is the first language of New York. Since we've taken that little break to refresh ourselves, Arsenal have announced the signing of William Saliba. Well done. So he's going to go back on loan. We know that, but we also know that Tottenham were trying to sign him. And he says, this is the biggest club in England for me, so it was an easy decision. I didn't think twice about signing here, so I'm really happy. So even though Tottenham have got Champions League football, they got this swanky new stadium, they have a coach who appears to know what he's doing, he still didn't want to go there. The stain is just too big.
Yeah.
So, look, I think if they've identified this guy as like a really hot prospect and a long-term talent, and this was the only way to get it done,
yeah, fair play.
Fair play.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't know until
A year from now,
or maybe two years from now, because we're going to have to see him in an Arsenal shirt first. But I believe the viewing figures for Ligue 1 are going to be massive in England next season among Arsenal fans.
Exactly.
There's going to be like, who the fuck shows Ligue 1 football?
Yeah.
What subscription do I have to buy? What streaming service do I have to get it on? I'm getting it. Can you stream all the Saint-Etienne games if you become a Saint-Etienne member or whatever it might be? So, they're going to have some high viewing figures. So another signing.
Well, you know, I think this sort of business, it actually excites me. You know, we spent so many years in the Wenger youth building periods where we were saving money. Apparently, we're always trying to save money, aren't we?
Yeah.
But going through that period where we were bringing in the youth and the youth was playing, you're seeing like the competition right now. They're buying everyone and they're loaning them everywhere.
Yeah, Chelsea do that a lot.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, it's a nice step in that direction to say, okay, we've identified this guy that 3 years maybe.
Yeah, maybe 3 years from now
he's
going to be
fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, if we're paying 25 to 30 million pounds for him to bring him in at 18 years of age, you know, it goes back to what we were talking about with Hazard.
Yeah.
You know, maybe this is a kid that's going to be worth 100 million or more, depending on what way the transfer market goes. A lot of pressure to put on him, a lot of expectation, of course, and we'll have to wait and see how he plays. But look, it's a done deal. It's another deal. So, you know, there's movement and there's action, and people can, you know, begin to see something different from this squad, which has lost players and hasn't really brought players in. You know, we talked in the first bit about how much we still have to do, but when you start to see those things happening, it really changes your mood.
Yeah,
it absolutely does. I know we get, you know, people go, oh, people get too hung up on signings, but there literally is.
They're quite important.
They are important. There's no other way, unless you're going to promote young players and you've got a group of young players who are sensational.
Right.
There's no other way to make your team significantly better
and sustain it through a period of time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, there is the argument, maybe, you know, a coach could get more out of these players, a better organization, better discipline, of course. But, you know, I still think if any coach is having to rely on a player, some of the players that we have had to rely on, I was going to go two-footed in there on you-know-who, but I decided against it. You know, it becomes very difficult for them. So, okay. So the things are... The wheels, the cogs are starting to turn. So let's just go back to the US tour and talk about that for a couple of minutes and your general thoughts on what you saw of the Arsenal fans out here. I know, you know, as you've been involved in Arsenal NYC for how long is it now? When did you set that up?
2007. Right. So about how many years is that?
That's 12 years.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem.
My maths are terrible sometimes when I'm on the spot. But yeah,
you said maths, though. You didn't say math.
Sorry.
That was good. You realised what audience you were talking to. That's okay.
But yeah, no, I as a person who worked to organize the 2014 tour and the events that went on, I was really, really impressed by, you know, Charlotte was a big deal. I mean, that was a display, and you know, some people said, "Oh, well, it's, you know, it was a great opportunity because it was the only weekend match of the whole tour."
Yeah.
So I feel like people came from all over. There were people from Canada, which was, I mean, we came from New York and we felt like we came far. People coming from Canada was quite far. There were people. I saw people out from the West Coast. There was people from, you know, pretty much everywhere. And yeah, I mean, it was it was huge. It was like you can actually say Arsenal took over the whole town.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we played Fiorentina, so how many Fiorentina fans are residing down in Charlotte, North Carolina? Don't know, but they didn't turn up for it. And,
no.
But yeah, I mean, all the different events going on. You seem to have had a great experience.
Everywhere I've been, you know, from LA to Charlotte to DC, the fans groups, and there are far too many of them to mention, have done amazing work to make the experience of Arsenal playing locally as exciting and as interesting as possible for the Arsenal fans that were going to come to those games.
Absolutely.
So they deserve massive credit for all the work that they did, and I've got to thank them all again for you know, being so hospitable and welcoming and you know, just being so downright nice.
Yeah.
Nice sounds like a...
Well, they love you, man.
Well, I love them too.
Yeah.
But, you know, nice sounds like sort of a backhanded compliment. I really don't mean it to be that. It's been kind of overwhelming to meet like those guys, to meet all the Arsenal fans here who also like what we do here on Arseblog. It's been brilliant to make time for them.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I sometimes get the sense from, not everyone, but there is perhaps an element of people who think that because fans are distant, whether it's in America, whether it's in Australia, whether it's in India,
so you mean geographical
distance, there's sort of a snobbery from certain elements, not everyone. And, you know, I think, you know, when you go on a tour like this and you experience it, you also experience what time people have to get up for games,
right,
and the commitment that they have to show to support the club, and the distances that they will travel. You know, they'll drive for 7-8 hours to get to Charlotte. They'll drive, you know, they'll fly from here, there, and everywhere just for the chance to see the team.
Yeah.
I know that's not any surprise to you, you know, given what you've been involved in down the years, but you know, I really think it's sort of reinvigorating for me to come out here and doing what I do and writing about the club every day and podcasting. You can get sort of like you tunnel vision, I think could be the right phrase, and then you come and you meet people and you realize
that they love it as much as you do.
That there's something wider than the football team itself, that there are things about Arsenal that are great. You know, there are things about Arsenal which frustrate us, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
But the thing that really makes it special is that it brings us together, whether it's, you know, a dad and his son going to the game in Islington, or whether it's two mates who have driven from Texas to come to Charlotte, or, you know, to all the guys who've come from all over California. It's amazing.
It's that same personal experience, but just in a different geographical way. Like, people are having those same experiences for the first time. You know, I have to say, I'm just as taken back as, you know, like, years ago when we started New York City, we did it because there wasn't a lot of people that were organized at the time, and we wanted to find more. And then seeing that display and all the groups, you know, like 12 years later, pretty much everyone's caught up to what we were, you know what I mean, what we've been doing. And to me, that's just a testament of what's going on globally, and just like the love that people have for Arsenal, and how quickly that becomes like your passion, your DNA, man.
Yeah, it's in your DNA. It's a real passion for so many people. So tell me about what's going on in New York City this season. Lots of Arsenal fans come to New York City throughout the season, and they all want to meet up and go to the games. The pubs, of course, that people know, O'Hanlon's, but the Blind Pig is, I think, the one that people knew best.
Yeah.
That, unfortunately, is closed down.
Well, it might be part and due to you, so respect. Unfortunately, after however many years, Blind Pig had to shut its door. They went through things with just the landlords that own the building, and New York City is a crazy place. It's happening in London. It's happening everywhere. That rents are just going up and up and up. And you know, when your rent is getting up to like $30,000, $35,000 a month, how much do you have to sell a beer for to have a profitable business? So a bunch of guys, Ed Brolin and crew that have been some regulars at the Blind Pig, they really, really worked hard. They pulled together a little team, and they went out and they met all these different boozers and talked to the people, and then they had a little vote, and we were corresponding with them to say, listen, you know, this has been, you guys have been manning the fort for manning and womaning the fort for the last, you know, however long. You know, you should be the ones to kind of lead this effort, and then we just kind of, you know, we kind of set some things that we needed as a club. You know, we want to bring people like you back. We want to have, you know, in the past we've had Liam Brady, things like that, Ian Wright, and we want to be able to do more of those events. So we've collectively founded a place called, well, we've not founded, we found a place called Jack Doyle's on 35th Street in Midtown. Somebody
tweeted about that bar at me today, actually.
Oh. Yeah, it's a really lovely boozer, and so as you might have heard, you know, obviously you had come and visited Barleycorn. We did the blog there, or the podcast there.
Podcast there, the very drunken one.
Yes.
Yes.
And unfortunately, they had to shut their doors this year. And so the combination of those are two really big square footage places that we said, okay, if we can somehow or another merge that into one thing and build this like Mecca for New York City, let's do it. And it's quite accessible by every form of transportation in New York City. So so there you go. And we've still got O'Hanlon's, as always. We've got a place out here in Park Slope called Patties of Park Slope. And we've got a place called the Highbury Pub, a little bit deeper here in Brooklyn.
So plenty of choice for people who are visiting New York City during the season.
Absolutely.
If you want to watch Arsenal with a pack,
a
horde of rabid, passionate Arsenal fans.
I like the word rabid.
Rabid is good. You've got lots of choice. So along with all the other excitement that New York City brings, you can put the icing on the cake.
Yeah, and if you forget, check out Arsenal.NYC.
Yeah, okay. Tell me about this microphone very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Before we go.
That's the, I wish I had my notes in front of me. That's the Peluso P87i.
Delicious. It's a lovely microphone.
When I use that on radio, I've said a few times, you might ask if I'm just speaking so I can hear myself talk, and I will say yes.
Yes.
Yes, I do. But it was designed after the Neumann U87i, which is likely one of the most famous mics on the planet.
Yeah, it's a lovely piece of kit.
I see you just looking at it.
I'm like, it's just. I'm a bit of a mic nerd,
I know
so
that
I've got my Shure, I've got my Neumann.
Oh, you have a Neumann?
I have a Neumann, but I don't have the U87.
Yeah.
I've got an RE20.
Ooh.
I've got a couple of Rode condensers. I've got a few mics. I've got the classic. The Shure announcer mic.
Oh, yeah.
The old baseball mic.
That's really cool.
It is cool. It's not really great.
It sounds terrible, doesn't it?
It's good for if you're, working a tannoy in a baseball fucking ground, but it's not great if you want to just record stuff. It might work really well in a proper studio if you wanted to sing into it, maybe, but I've got that. But it's sort of like, it's ornamental more than...
for some interesting effects.
Yes.
Different sounds.
Yes.
But yeah, it's PelusoMicrophoneLab.com. They make some really nice stuff, and it's a father and son, and I just think it's a beautiful story. They've been making mics now for quite some time. So.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Sure.
We are going to finish. I was thinking when we were talking about doing this, like, what if we could do, because people may or may not know this about you, so we might as well give the radio a bit of a plug.
If we must.
If we must. If you dig music, Kurtis is the man you want to follow on Twitter and Facebook, but also the
Face Radio BK.
The Face Radio
BK, like Brooklyn.
BK.
Yeah.
Wow, Brooklyn has its own...
Well, we just call it, so the Bronx is BX, Brooklyn's BK. I don't know what Queens is. Sorry. QNS, something like that. But it's a...
So tell people about what the station is.
It's music. We play music. It's all about actually kind of like the way that the world has merged into podcasting. People like connecting with people. We love listening to your show because people connect with. We feel like we're connecting with Andrew, right?
Sure.
And same with the reason that people love all the other ones. It's because you feel like, wait, this guy speaks for me, right? It's like there's a saying that people like us do things like this. And so the Face Radio, it's all about actual presenters that actually talk about the things that they hear in music and the reason that they love a song and maybe how they heard the song. But it's a mixture of definitely the eclectic house, soul, funk, disco, boogie, but also a bit of 60s, Britpop, definitely your eclectic sounds.
You could be missing an 80s show on there.
I think we've got a plug for Andrew.
Okay. Maybe we could talk about that.
Yeah. But
80s radio show, yes.
But yeah, it's at thefaceradio.com, and it's pretty... I'm pretty proud of it.
Okay, so I was thinking, because of your music, we might, let's say, talk a bit about Arsenal, play a tune, talk a bit about and kind of, we've talked a lot, and we are, I think, going to play a tune. But I think what we should do is play a tune from an artist from one of the cities on the US tour. So we've got LA.
Oh, wow.
We've got...
Well, that's an easy one.
Don't say Red Hot Chili Peppers.
There's a backstory to that, ladies and gents.
Okay, that's just 7 hours in a car.
Yeah.
Takes your conversation to strange places. We've got LA, we've got Charlotte, North Carolina, or North Carolina in general.
Yeah.
If Charlotte's a bit restrictive, I don't know what the musical talent out of there is like. I think the only one I could find were the Avett Brothers, who are quite good. And then we've got Washington, D.C. So let's have your recommendations. Who do you think?
I'm going to go simple from my heart. None other than Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye.
Washington, D.C.
Sounds good to me.
And I think it's going to have to be the title track from probably the best album ever made. Dare I go there?
What's
1971 Tamla Motown Records. What's going on?
What's going on? Okay, well, look, thank you for having me here in your studio. It's been great. I've enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, pleasure. Hopefully people have enjoyed the podcast. James and I will be recording an Arsecast Extra on Monday, but not until Monday afternoon because James is heading for Edinburgh to do his one-man show. So seeing as we're plugging everything else, if you're going to be in Edinburgh, go along to see James's show, which is at the Pleasance, I think. I could have got that wrong. But just look for James McNicholas Edinburgh and you'll be able to find tickets for his show. If you're up there at the festival, go along to see that. We'll record on Monday afternoon. We'll have that then. Until the next one, take it easy, folks. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Come on, Arsenal.